Niagara 124, your source for food, entertainment, news, and jibber jabber. Put in your thinking caps and prepare for your debriefing on current events. This week on Niagara 124, we have a lot of news stories to talk about. I'm not exactly prepared for this. I just got out of the Niagara Falls mayoral debate, and oh, am I going to have a field day with this. As well, we will also be talking about what is going on in the U.S. Congress and a whole bunch of other stuff. All this and more on 124. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Niagara 124. I'm Nico.
I'm Bobby, and I'm sicker than I was last week.
Yes, this is a crazy time.
So,
as always, you can go to our Facebook page, Niagara1/24, like our page, send us some messages. We'd love to hear from you. You can tweet us at Niagara124, and we're going to be talking about a lot of fun stuff today, so you'll definitely want to tweet us at Niagara124. As always, old episodes, including last week's episode, are up on YouTube, Niagara1/24.
So yeah, you sound like you were in a rush at the beginning there.
I blitzed in here because the Niagara Falls mayoral debate was on Channel 2. And, of course, all the TVs that are close to the studio are on sports, so I had to go all the way to the back to watch something, that actually is my job to watch.
Yeah, it was like 11:59, and I was here. I was gonna do the introduction. I didn't know what I was gonna do.
Yes, because Bobby is Bobby is unfamiliar.
Welcome to Niagara 124. We don't know where Nico is, so we're gonna go find him.
You couldn't. It's like we could have started late.
Yeah, I mean, we could have.
We could have, Chelsea was pushing me to start. She wants this thing done.
Yeah.
I have not actually taken a breath since I walked over here.
I physically cannot breathe.
Okay, so you want to just start going right into the news?
Yeah, what happened this week?
The Niagara Falls mayoral debate just
happened like today.
Just literally
so with the most recent thing.
That is the most recent thing, so we're going to talk about it. Now, you did not watch this, but basically it was John Accardo, the Republican candidate, versus Paul Deister, Democrat candidate, and either it started early, because I tuned in at 12:30, and they were already talking.
12:30?
11:30. 11:30, 12:30.
From the future?
Umlaut time, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, and they had already talked, so I don't know if it started early and they were wrong on the site, but they didn't use any of my questions. Like they said, tweet questions that you want them to answer, and they didn't use either of our questions, but they did get close because they said there are a lot of college students in this within a 25-mile radius. What are you doing to get them jobs? And I'm like,
so
close enough.
What are they doing to get us jobs, Nico?
Well, Deister kept repeating the same thing over and over again. Basically, look at what I've done. We're going to continue what we're doing. This is what we've done. Look, we built a train station. We have all these hotels coming. Look at all this. And Accardo's like, we're going to cut everything and we're going to be aggressive. This was basically the takeaway from this was Deister said, if you want basically 4 more years of what we have now, which is good. Yeah, this is what he said. If you want 4 more years of what we currently have, vote for Deister. And then Accardo's like, if you want aggressive action to bring this city back to where it was, back where it should be, and you want, more jobs, and you want more everything, you want this going, and you want a balanced budget, Accardo's your man. But Deister, in his closing statement, and he had the last closing statement, after John talks about how, I'm going to do this, I'm going to balance the budget, I'm going to do this, Deister spent his entire closing argument making fun of John Accardo. Instead of saying what he would do, he said, well, if John keeps talking about he's not part of the problem. I don't know if you know this, but in 1997, yes, he started bringing up the city in 1990s. And every time I was looking, I'm like, Paul, I was too young to remember the 90s, but, my family lived through the 90s. I saw the tail end of the catastrophe that was, Niagara Falls in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was a train wreck. But everything started falling apart there because the Canadian dollar tanked. You can look at it. The Canadian dollar went down. We started losing out on things, and everything started falling apart. So he needs to stop saying, if you want to repeat in 1997, you don't think we've learned from 1997? What are you going to do for me? He didn't actually say what he was going to do. He just said, look what I've done, and look at what happened in the 90s. We're better than the 90s. Of course we're better than the 90s. He looked, Paul admitted, he said that was the lowest point in the history of Niagara Falls. That would be like if I said, well, WNIA's doing better than the time the soundboard was gone. Of course it is. Of course it is. Because better than zero is still zero.
Better than zero is
better
still
than
zero.
zero. Anything above zero is better than zero. One, if it's one, it's better than zero.
But he said better than zero is still zero.
I mean that better than...
Better times zero is still zero.
Look, I am flipping out right now, okay? No, please, if anyone wants to tweet us, I really want to hear some opinions. Maybe from someone who lives in this city that isn't myself or Bobby.
Oh, okay. I mean...
Wow, this is becoming a popular show.
Technically, everybody here lives in this city currently. So, I
yes. And in case you guys didn't know, the wonderful things that... And I'm not going to blame Deister. This is the pre-Deister era. I know you guys don't... Yes. That's right.
Yes, that's right. Keep going.
In the pre-Deister era, so this would be the era of Anello. We're going to go all the way back to 1957. I just keep distraction. We're going to go all the way to 1957 for a second. So back in 1957.
What happened in
1957? 1957, Niagara County signed a deal with the state of New York to build a giant power plant over there. Because before it was privately held, and the city of Niagara Falls basically produced its own power under Niagara Mohawk. We signed a contract. They got to keep all the power. We don't use any of the power being made by that lovely power plant next to us.
Yep.
We burn coal.
Yes,
we burn coal to produce our own power. And, of course, when the 50 years was up to, make a new deal, we re-signed the contract for another 50 years. So they still have full unlimited control over hydroelectric power on this side of the border. And we have to get and we sell that, they take that power and they give it to New York City, they give it to Rochester, they give it to all the other areas that are not Niagara County. And, I don't know, you saw the post, at this point, it will expire in 2057, and by then, I'm sure we can redistrict ourselves as District 12, we'll just be District 12, coal everywhere, we have a giant hydroelectric power plant, but coal everywhere, ladies and gentlemen.
This is like an important thing, too, because in my management class, we're working with the NU Sustainability Committee, because NU they've signed an agreement to go carbon neutral by 2050, and they're looking for ways to work towards that. And if in Niagara Falls we don't use any different kinds of power, how are we gonna
Well, we should make a deal with, the Niagara Falls Power Authority.
Yeah.
And Niagara University should go and talk to them. We keep making deals with them. They took our land in the 50s. They took our golf course, our beautiful, beautiful golf course, to build that thing, as well as a massive amount of land from the Tuscarora natives. I don't know if you're aware of this. Go to the Power Vista one of these days. They're updating it. It's going to be all updated in May. I'd like to see what they updated. Yep, they're going to update it in May, which is exciting. Huh. I'm there all the time because I'm fascinated by the history of this place. But I mean, you look there, and if you watch the video, they kind of glaze over it, but the fact that we literally called eminent domain on, 80% of a Tuscarora reservation to build a reservoir for this thing. The state did it. And we had argued that we should be allowed to produce our own power because we are the city of Niagara Falls, and we always did. Sholkoff produced the power, and it was privately held. And then our lovely Robert Moses showed up and talked the federal government into saying that the state controls it. So Eisenhower signed into law a deal that, made this thing that the state controls it and we have no say in the matter. And then the rest of our power systems were shut down, and now they make the power, and we get our power from National Grid, who burns coal. And yes, I am citing the reporter as a source as much as it pains me to do so, because the reporter is so much propaganda. But if you take out the extremist parts, like, referring to Accardo as referring to Accardo.
Accardo.
Yeah, they're in love with anyone who could beat Deister. If you read their things, they listed like 20 people. Accardo was one of them, and Accardo ran, and now Accardo might beat Deister. Who knows? Robert Moses, they refer to as sarcastically as the Lord and Savior leading this people of Niagara Falls. There's a beautiful photo if you ever look up the Power Project on the reporter, with a photo of photoshopped geese following Robert Moses across the falls to the promised land because they're so gullible and fell for it. I mean, it is ridiculous, but there are, if you take out all the ridiculous parts of it and just take the actual story that's in there, the story is accurate. I mean, the reporter's like the Inquirer of Niagara Falls. It's ridiculous, but there is a little bit of story in there that might be true.
Robert Moses split the falls.
Yes, Robert Moses. We did shut off the falls for a while. That was not Robert Moses, but I think we should do that again. That's how we get people to show up. We get 8.6. We get over 8 million visitors a year to come to Niagara Falls, but they only stay for a day because there's not enough for them to do. And Deister's getting all excited because we're getting 17,000 new hotels downtown. Because hotels make people stay. But we're getting 2 water parks.
We're getting 2 water parks?
We're getting 2 water parks.
Where are these water parks going?
I really hope that we learned from last time and they're indoor this time. Yeah. Because remember we had an outdoor water park and that was the dumbest thing you can do? We are in winter 80% of the year, okay? Look, we have winter, and construction. Those are our seasons. So it is quite ridiculous.
So we're getting indoor water parks?
Allegedly. If the deal, we've done this before. We were supposed to have a giant aquarium, and that was a big deal. That was back in 2000.
We have a tiny aquarium.
And guess what? That thing, the Wonder Falls Aquarium, that never happened. We were supposed to have another water park. It never happened. The Comedy Hall of Fame was going to move in the Gents building 2 years ago. Never happened. We were going to build a museum for Nick Wallenda. It never happened. And now, there was a discussion. This is an interesting thing. I don't know. Oh, gosh. Goldstein, Bernstein. Oh, I have to look up his name. Now, I'm not even going to look him up. Niagara Falls Redevelopment purchased an enormous chunk of land. So if you name something, Niagara Falls Redevelopment owns it. You know the turtle, the giant turtle building?
Oh, yes.
Yes, Niagara Falls Redevelopment owns it. You know that there's those giant empty plots of land that have nothing on them?
Yes.
Niagara Falls Redevelopment owns them. And he's notorious for holding on to land upwards of 40 years and selling it at a profit. So he's sitting on all this land. Now, Schumer, back in 2007, Channel 2 brought it up because Channel 2, looking out for the people as always, brought it up and said, they were doing nothing. Why is this land still vacant? And Deister's like, well, we're going to look into it. And Deister talked Senator Schumer into talking with the head of Niagara Falls Redevelopment, and they were supposed to communicate with each other to discuss how to use the land and what we're going to do with the land, and then they'd give up the land. And now here we are in 2015, and Channel 2's like, what happened? And Paul's like, he stopped talking to me. In which Schumer responds, this is what Schumer actually said. This is turning into an Abbott and Costello skit, where one of them is like, he doesn't talk to me anymore, and the other one's like, well, if you don't give me any ideas, I'm not talking to you. And basically, each one is blaming the other, and it's getting ridiculous. But the fact is, and this happened again in the debate, they asked about it, and Paul's like, yeah, I don't talk to him. I did talk to him. I'm like, yes, Channel 2's fully aware of this fact. Not only are they holding the debate right now, but they did an entire 5-day, a running segment on Fix the Falls, where they asked you, why did you stop talking to you? Well, he stopped talking to me. And then Schumer and Niagara Falls Redevelopment say, well, you had no plan. how is he going to keep in touch? You did not give him a single idea. Well, isn't it his job? No, it's not his job. He owns land. Give him something to work with. He's not just going to give you the land. And Accardo came up with a clever solution to this, which was eminent domain. He's just going to take it. He's going to be like, I'm going to come up with a project, and I'm going to take the land if he doesn't give it to us. Because you can do that. Eminent domain is a thing in this country still. We can still do that. So that's how you know. I mean, Deister, I would love it. I don't know if Deister has a Twitter. Deister, if you have an actual plan, I would love to see an actual spelled out plan. And I don't mean both candidates. I would love if both. I'd love if Accardo had a spelled out plan, because I love watching debate and they say, we're going to do this. What are you doing? We're going to balance the budget. How? What do you have planned? We have things planned. What do we have planned? If it is not classified, if it is not like you didn't sign a contract saying we cannot talk about this, I would love it if this was explicitly stated out. This is what we're doing. Here, and here. Because right now, I'm hearing a lot of talk and no action. Which is frustrating, because I'm one of the few people that want to stay in Niagara Falls after I graduate. A lot of my friends that live in Niagara Falls, I don't know about you, you can speak for this in a minute. I have talked to a lot of my friends that I know. They are here at Niagara University. They were Niagara Falls residents my entire life. They are majors in hospitality and tourism, and they are moving away from Niagara Falls. They are majoring in a field that is entirely related to Niagara Falls, and they're like, well, I don't want to stay here because there's not enough here. There's not enough jobs. The job market isn't strong enough. I mean, what kind
Just go across the border.
I mean, literally. Are you kidding me? Canada's beating us? And you know what? Don't get me wrong. You know, Canada has all these things. People don't like... A lot of people... We have a lot of visitors to the falls on this side. And a lot of people like the way that we've done the falls. We're a lot more natural. We're a lot more environmental. They're a lot more kitschy. Kitschy. Hershey, Ripley's Believe It or Not, a giant Ferris wheel. It's gimmicky, and a lot of people don't like Clifton Hill on the Canadian side. A lot of people actually say, you know, it's good for like families and stuff, but there's a lot of people that like the natural side of the falls. And if you look, Canadian side needs a coat of paint. I didn't realize this until I got up close, because it looks like a sparkling wonderland on that side, and then I look and... Come on, guys, replace your awnings are so faded, you need new ones, guys. I mean, when I'm that close, I'm like, oh, it does not look good in the daytime. But they have a lot of stuff to go to.
Yes, they do.
I mean, we're an entire city of vacant lots. And neither of them really... The closest one we got was Accardo saying that he would try to bring jobs here because, you know, we have students that are here and they've already decided to pick Western New York. Let's have them live here. Let's have them live in Niagara Falls. Come on. And that's kind of what my question was, which neither of them definitively answered, was, what are you doing to bring people back here? At this point, our population... is at... No, I'm just actually gonna... I'm gonna look it up, but I'm gonna inform you. If we drop below 50,000 and 2020 census comes along, we lose some of our rights as a city. We become basically a town, and that loses housing assistance. And if you know anything about housing assistance in the city of Niagara Falls, you know that that is kind of important. So, if we are under 50,000... we kind of lose our designation as a city for housing assistance, and we are currently at 49,468 as of 2013.
Well, that's a 2-year difference.
Yeah, if you look at this fabulous...
Oh, yeah, it's going down.
You know, it's been going down, and it's been going down since, like, you look at it, 1990, we've had a steady decline. So, you know, Paul has a point when he's comparing us to the 1990s. You know, do you want to be stuck in the 90s again?
Running in the 90s.
No. It's like, obviously, we don't want to be there, but that was the lowest we could possibly go. I don't feasibly think that we can do that again. There was a lot of corruption in the 90s, and that's what they failed to mention. There was a lot of corruption, and right now, this was an interesting debate that happened. Accardo wants to put more police out on the streets. He thinks we need more police on the streets, which I agree with.
Yeah.
Police are doing an excellent job, but we need more. We do need more. But we can't hire more because we don't have the money. So they were arguing with them, and it was funny watching the debate. They're like, well, what you're suggesting, you're saying cuts, but you're going to increase. He's like, no, I'm not going to increase. I'm going to send the ones that are inside and put them on the streets. there's 13 people that run our City of Niagara Falls 911 operation.
Okay.
There's a county 911.
Yes.
Now, Accardo's saying, why don't we just go use the county 911 since it's there and take those 13 people we have on our 911 and send them out into the streets to keep people safe. To which Deister pointed that Tonawanda attempted to do this. The union sued Tonawanda, and Tonawanda had to pay back payment on these people. To which I reply, we had an issue with unions back in the 1990s. You could look it up. I'm not going into it. There was issues with the unions. So when you point and say, well, the unions did something in Tonawanda, we can point and say, yeah, well, the unions did a lot of things, particularly when they got caught in the 1990s. Those were some of the issues that happened in the 1990s. So, there's a lot of issues. My grandfather's favorite saying is no one knows what's going on in that stone building, and no one knows what they're doing in that stone building, and there's so much corruption in that stone building. And the way it looks, how does this money magically disappear? And, let's just, I'm going to knock both track records of these two. Accardo has been trying to run since the 1990s. He has been losing since the 1990s. He was a Democrat. He switched to Republican. This is pretty much the closest he's gotten to actually possibly being mayor. He's an insurance man. He's okay. He's not a politician. Now let's look at Deister's side. Deister has been in for 8 years, and he keeps talking about all the wonderful things he has done. And he says, well, a lot of our issues was our casino money was being withheld. And then that was very quickly resolved because the state ended up giving up some of their money, and then we got our money. And then our money disappeared. But Deister, and you could look it up, hired someone for the city department that did not even have authorization to hold that position, so then we had to get rid of them. But we'd already paid them. We had hired contractors. They were not authorized to do that work. And then we had to go and fire them, but we'd already paid them. We can't get the money back. Because, and I don't want to say it's, Deister is just, he's a little too trusting. We don't need a trusting person as a mayor right now. We don't need someone who's like, oh, I trust you, I trust you, I trust you. The world's not like that. And Paul's starting to learn this, I noticed, because as time's gone on, he's been doing this less and less. But every so often we get tripped up again, and then the entire city's like, oh, we'll give you all the money. And then, this has been the story since the 90s. Like, oh, we trust you, here's a bunch of money and some free land, and then it just sits there and nothing happens. On the other hand, Accardo's talking about cutting healthcare funding, and he's talking about kind of messing with pensions and things, and that I don't exactly like that. Neither candidate right now has been singing to me, but right now, if the vote came today, I would have to vote Accardo. Based on the debate and how it went through, I'm leaning toward Accardo right now. Of course, Chalokian's doing a write-in because he said, I don't know if you didn't follow the primary, but Chalokian lost the primary to Deister, and right before he said, if I don't win this, I'm done in politics, I'm not running anymore. And then afterwards, he asked Deister, he said, I'll swing some of my votes your way if I could be city manager, and then that fell through, and now Chalokian is running a write-in campaign. Now, I don't know if you know a write-in, but it's pretty hard to spell Chalokian if you don't have it pre-written down. So, he's not going to win, but he's going to take votes away from Deister, and that's why Deister's very angry with him right now. Very, very, very angry with him. I think we've reached the point where we've talked enough about Niagara Falls, unless someone else wants to butt in, and I'd love it if someone else butt in. Do we want to actually cover other news? Because we have, 21 news stories, and we have half an hour.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
That was Niagara 148th with
that was
Angelo.
That was that was the most Niagara we've ever been. We actually covered. This is what this show's supposed to be about. Me screaming about the city.
That gave me a break from having to talk, so thank you.
Yes, it did. Yeah, Bobby didn't have to talk. I just ranted forever. So Spencer Stone, he was one of those heroes on the French train.
Spencer Stone. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
he was. Someone stabbed him in California. He was mugged at 1 a.m. in California.
Why?
We don't know. They just stabbed him, and we're like, are you kidding me? He was a hero. He tackle the terrorist, and now he comes back home and gets stabbed. Like, he's gonna make a full recovery. He's okay,
good,
but
good.
I mean, really, guys. The Russians were shooting missiles into Syria.
I heard about this. Yes.
You heard about this? And they hit Iran.
So what exactly happened with this?
Okay, so the Russians were shooting missiles because they're trying to take out the Syrian rebels. They may or may not be propping up the Assad regime. And we're very angry at them at getting involved, even though the next story I state will kind of be like, double standard here. I hate to say it. But we're yelling at them because it hit Iran and it hit civilians. Because somehow 4 of the 24 missiles they shot hit Iran. And the U.S. is like, oh, dare you do that? Oh, you're killing innocents. Wow. And it's this huge out of control thing.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, we're bombing hospitals.
There we go! That was it! Ding, ding, ding! Bobby got the correct one. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. We bombed a Doctors Without Borders hospital in Afghanistan. Accidentally. Because there was a lot of fighting going on near it, and they had sent out their coordinates and said, remember, we're here, do not, bomb us. And the coordinates probably didn't make it all the way up, and then the pilots didn't have those coordinates, and guess what? The pilots dropped the bombs right on the hospital. And that was...
Just why?
Oh, no, I have it in here. Correction, here it is. Yeah, it killed 22. We killed 22 people. For an error. Literally an error. Like, whoops, we made a mistake. Now 22 people are dead because we nuked a hospital. We didn't nuke a hospital, but still, come on. Anywho. Do you have any opinion of that story?
I mean, I don't know. Just what were we dropping bombs for? Like, what was the goal?
Well, if we're still fighting in Afghanistan,
yeah.
It was either ISIS or it was in Kunduz, Afghanistan. So that's either Taliban or ISIS. I didn't get the exact. There was street fighting.
Okay.
And we get involved. So Kevin McCarthy, who was expected to take John Boehner's position as Speaker of the House, dropped out of the race.
Yep.
You want to know why? Because no one wants this job. And now Boehner's like, well, I want Paul Ryan to take it. And they interviewed Paul Ryan immediately after Boehner said he quit. And Paul Ryan, and they asked, are you going to run for Speaker of the House? And he said no. And they're like, why not? He's like, because I don't want the job. No one wants to be Speaker of the House right now. Nobody. So right now, they have no one that actually wants this job. And since they can't hold a vote, Boehner's basically stuck in the position. So he can't even resign because he literally has to just sit there and go, anybody? Please? Anyone? At all? Please take my job. I don't want to be here. Please. Please, I beg of you. Ugh. So, did you hear about Ben Carson? What he said about the shooting and...
No, I didn't.
Okay, so, we talked about the Umpqua shooting
yes.
last week. Ben Carson said that he wouldn't have just stood there and been shot. And he said that they should have fought back. He didn't realize there was actually one student that did try to fight back against the gunman. He ended up being shot, but he lived. But, basically what Ben Carson said is, I would look at him, and if he pointed a gun at me, I'd go, okay, hey, everyone, tackle him. He's going to shoot me, but he can't shoot all of us if we all at once run him. And that's just statistically numbers, but he's getting a lot of hot water over it because they're like, oh, you would? Oh, you would, you'd just get shot? And it's like, but at this point, it brings up the debate. If you know you're going to get shot, he's pointing a gun at you, theoretically, I mean, in a panic mode, maybe you think, oh, maybe he won't shoot me. Chances are, if you're a room of people and he has you, set up, firing squad style, he's going to shoot you. Would you fight? Would you try to get... Why doesn't everyone just fight him? Someone's going to get shot. Someone's always going to get shot. But, theoretically, they could have taken him down. There was 8 of them and 1 of him. I mean, theoretically, they could have... I don't know what kind of gun he was using. I guess that's important, because if he had, an automatic weapon, he could have sprayed. But still, someone could have taken him down. And one of the students actually did, which was kind of interesting, tried to take him down. Got shot but lived, so that was interesting. But a tidbit on this was Ben Carson got mugged one time. They pointed a gun at him. He was in a fast food place. They didn't say which one because, of course, we don't need to know which one.
Yeah.
But he said, I think you're looking for the guy behind the counter. And basically, like they said, he passed it on. So the guy pointed the gun at his chest and said, I think you want to point that at the guy behind the counter. Like, Ben, you say these things and then your track record is...
I mean, yeah.
And at this point in the Republican candidacy, I don't know who I'm voting for because, guys, you need to just get it together. And on the other end, I mean, Hillary, please, Hillary, can you just get this nomination already? You cannot lose to Bernie Sanders and whoever the three other people that no one cares about.
I have something else about, like, the university shooting, but Bernie Sanders, like, he's not looking like a bad candidate.
The reason I personally, and Republican alert, I'm going to point it out, his plan is he keeps comparing us to, like, the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Now, the Netherlands are interesting because it's really nice because it's like, oh yeah, free college education, free healthcare, and free this, and the highest tax bracket in the world. The taxes are so incredibly high, and this is why, and our I guess our counterpointer that comes on tonight, the bi-weekly breakthrough guy, he is very pro Bernie Sanders. As a matter of fact, his show is coded as the Bernie Sanders show. You can just ask him. Show. He always talks about, and he had brought up all these points. He's like, yeah, but he's just gonna take out the taxes that don't work and move the money over to taxes that will actually work. To which I reply, yeah, you do not have a basic understanding of how a three-section government works. You have to have Congress on the same page as the president, or you could just keep doing executive orders, which is an interesting thing that you could find out about. Go look up executive orders, everyone. The president can basically do whatever he wants, and it's pretty cool.
I mean, like, I don't know a lot about politics, but as long as Donald Trump doesn't become our president, I'll be pretty happy.
I don't think Donald Trump is actually going to become president. Like, I mean, the loony Republicans might vote him in because they're just crazy enough, but, I don't think that's likely. I mean, it shouldn't happen. But right now, there's really no frontrunner as president for the Republican side. Yeah. I mean, right now, they keep giving Bernie steam. I mean, he has a lot of traction. It kills me. I looked up buttons, like pin buttons, because I was looking for custom pin buttons online. I just typed into Amazon. The fifth result was Bernie Sanders buttons, the Bernie Sanders army. I'm looking for to make my own custom buttons, and it's like, Bernie Sanders, vote. Make sure you vote Bernie Sanders. And
Feel
I'm like,
the burn.
Like, no, he seemed like a cool guy, but then when I heard him in discussion, I didn't support his views. I think he's too left. Kind of like how I don't support the extreme right side. Like, I think, the extreme, there's a lot of extreme rights. This is why I'm very angry with the Republican Party right now. There's, the Freedom Caucus are, like, out of their minds. But extreme on either end is not good, and Bernie's a little too liberal. You need to be able to play the game in Washington, and yeah. I hate to say that you have to play the game, but you do have to play the game. This is, government here. No one ever wants to agree with you. The parties have become too strong. So you need to be able to play the game and, try and basically saying that you're, I like Bernie Sanders. He's like, they call me a socialist. And he's like, well, he doesn't even dispute it. He's like, well, that's what it takes. And I'm like, oh, geez. And it's like.
So, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. There was another shooting at a university in, I think it's Northern Arizona University,
Arizona. There was one that was in Pennsylvania too, I thought.
Was it Pennsylvania? I don't know. I saw one.
It happened there was one that happened on like
one
Monday
that
or
happened.
Tuesday.
One that happened last night was in Arizona.
Oh, there was another one that's 2 this week.
It wasn't predetermined though. This one, it was something to do with a fraternity, and someone pulled a gun on someone, and
oh, that's a twofer, fraternities and shooting.
What was the other one?
There was one in Pennsylvania. They were under lockdown because there was an active shooter, and then the active shooter went away. No one was seriously injured in it, but it was a copycat. But they took them down because this is Pennsylvania, where, trust me, I'm pretty sure every teacher probably had a cannon.
Can this stop happening, please?
This is why I almost am tempted to just not cover these stories. I think because the news starts making examples out of them. I liked when they said, we're not going to cover his name, and then the news proceeds to cover his name. Because, like, stop making martyrs out of these people. Like, oh, look, they're famous now. No, guess what? We shouldn't know who they are. We shouldn't get to know anything because then they get to think, well, I'm famous. Did you hear his reasoning behind shooting up the school? In the Umpqua one?
Umpqua.
Yeah, he was this is literally what he said. They said he was alone. They said he was just a desperate little sad little thing. This is the only way you could describe it. He was lonely. He didn't have a girlfriend. Nobody liked him. He couldn't relate to anybody. Why is this always the case? Every time there's same one, they were comparing to the one in California where the one's like, well, I don't have a girlfriend, and then shot people at like, are you kidding me?
Well, yeah, there was someone who I saw this on Reddit too. There was a student at a university or somewhere that threatened to like hurt someone or do something because like girls wouldn't send him nude pictures.
Yes! Like, what is wrong with people? I mean, what is wrong? And I like the ones that are like, and it's like, because there seems to be this theory like everyone hates me, and they know, most of them know because they end up killing themselves in the end. They, it's almost like I'm going to take everyone down with me. I'm taking as many people down as I can with me. And it's like, you know what? No, you're not. And, we need to start enforcing, we need police presence, heavier security on these schools, because this is getting ridiculous. There needs to be better security on this. And you know what? I'm about to piss off the Republicans. There needs to be better gun control.
Yeah.
You should not be able to buy an assault rifle. What are you hunting that you need an assault rifle? What are you hunting? Are you that bad at aiming? Are you that bad at aiming that you need to put an entire clip into a deer?
Spray the deer.
Let's keep moving because we got a lot to cover. We actually do.
Oh my gosh.
So Lionel Messi, he's a soccer player. He's kind of famous. He's being charged with tax fraud. You could go to jail and it could cost him millions of dollars. Him and his dad weren't paying taxes. See what happens when you're famous and you don't pay taxes? We find you. Well, look, we got Al Capone on tax evasion. not murders, not gang violence. Nope, tax evasion. Because it's a lot easier to throw someone in jail for tax evasion. Trust me. Really, guys, just pay your taxes.
Pay.
A missing king cobra was found under a dryer near Orlando.
What?
This is literally the most ridiculous. So there was like a storm in Orlando, Florida, and it broke open the cage of king cobra, and it slithered out and went flying into La La Land and whatever. And eventually they found it underneath a dryer, and they're like, "Oh, poor king cobra! It was starving. Its eyes were glazed over. It hasn't eaten anything. It's really, really sick." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to see the look on the person's face that was going to, use their clothes dryer, drying their clothes, and was like, oh, there's a king cobra under here. Like, oh, weird, I didn't know I had a striped sock. Ah! I mean, it's, like, ridiculous. And I look, but everyone's like, oh, it has a happy ending because the cobra's okay. And I'm like, it had a happy ending because the cobra didn't murder anyone.
The cobra didn't murder anybody?
The cobra didn't murder anyone in cold blood, unlike the guardrails.
Gosh. I'm just, like, dying in the corner during the show. I apologize.
Yeah, he keeps walking to the corner and dying. It's beautiful.
I'm, like, coughing and sneezing.
It's the death show. the floods in the south are pretty bad. The ones in South Carolina from Hurricane Joaquin.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's like dozens of people dead,
Oh my
and
gosh.
a lot of the dams are breaking, so the flooding's still continuing because the water has to run back downstream, and it's bad. It's bad. We shouldn't have been making fun of Joaquin.
Joaquin.
Last
why?
week we made the Joaquin Phoenix joke. I don't necessarily feel bad about it, but 2020 hindsight. There was a ship carrying 28 Americans and 5 Polish natives and the Alfaro, and it sank because it headed straight towards Hurricane Joaquin and lost.
Oh, gosh.
Because when you play a game of chicken with a hurricane, that's what happens. And a lot of people are wondering, they're like, why did it head towards the hurricane? And no one really knows why, but they called off the search, and now the families are like, but it sunk in the hurricane. At this point, they're assumed dead, and the ship is under probably 1,500 feet of water in the middle of the Atlantic, so it's going to be kind of hard to find it. Because it took us a lot of years to find the Titanic, and we had a genuine general idea of where that sank.
That was also like 100 years
That
ago.
was 100 years, but still, it took us forever to find that, and we were still using similar
Yeah,
sonar.
yeah.
It takes forever. We don't know we don't exactly know where the last position was. We keep finding debris, but the search area is massive, and it's the bottom of the ocean. It's gonna be forever.
The ocean is scary.
The ocean is terrifying.
I don't like the ocean
Or
anything in the ocean.
a side beat, because I need to say something happy. I wore my Russian hat because I was on late night earlier
Yeah.
with Brianna
Late
and
night.
Nolan. Yeah, late night
That
at
wonderful
10
show at
10:30 to
10:30 in the
11:30 in the morning. It's a great show. And I wore my blue coat and my Russian hat. Do you know what I wore last year?
What?
So our last year's show was on 10:10. So now today's 10:09.
Yes.
I wore my blue coat and my Russian hat. I literally posted on Twitter, and I actually reposted it and on Facebook you could see it. I literally wore the same thing, completely unintentionally wore the same thing.
Good job.
Like it must be, like the third Friday show must be the Russian show. Yeah, the Russian.
I only have enough outfits for like 2 weeks, and then I just wear the same thing over and over again.
Bobby, I just wear black V. I have hundreds of outfits, and I wear black V-necks the entire time. Black V-necks and jeans, people.
Yep.
It's my uniforme. I'm gonna get back to this one because this one's just too beautiful.
Oh, what happened? What happened?
Oh, I'm gonna get back to it later.
Oh, okay.
because I want to save it. So Toyota is ISIS.
Toyota is ISIS.
Yeah, that is the worst segue ever. Basically, everyone keeps wondering why ISIS has so many Toyota pickup trucks. Like, every single one of their pickup trucks in every ISIS photo is a Toyota. And they're like, well, how are they getting them? To which I reply, probably buying them from the dealership. I mean, I don't think they're walking up going, hello, I'm a member of ISIS. I'd like to buy your Toyota. I'm pretty sure you could just buy a Toyota anywhere. It's a Toyota. Seriously, there's a lot of Toyota dealerships. And so the government, they're looking into how are they buying? Like they bought like 25 Toyota this. How are they buying them in bulk and this? And does Toyota know about this? And is Toyota funding ISIS? And like they're getting really ridiculous.
Funding ISIS?
And Toyota's like, look, we may have blown people's heads off with airbags, but we are not funding ISIS.
Oh my gosh.
That was bad. that was bad. I apologize for that one. No, I don't.
Apologize.
I apologize for my eremitating.
No.
The new Disney princess.
Oh,
she's Hawaiian,
Oh
Moana.
yeah, Moana. I saw.
And people
yes.
are someone's like, well, she has a case of Rapunzel same face, doesn't she? I'm like, she looks nothing like Rapunzel. I'm like, you're just finding anything. Well, she looks white. No, she doesn't. She looks like a cartoon character. She's a cartoon.
I mean, I don't think any of Rapunzel same face. What is that?
Allegedly, all the princesses have the same looking
No, they
face.
don't.
It's called animation. Welcome to animation, and they really don't. But there's only so much you can do. It's called a style. But and they're like, oh well, look at how thin she is. Why is the other character so massive? The average Hawaiian is overweight, and I'm like, okay, first of all, the average Hawaiian is overweight. Why does that's a weird social justice twist to put on things. Secondly, she was designed to look like her 14-year-old voice actress, who looks like the character if you look at her. And 3, the big giant guy is a caricature, and I'm surprised they're not like, normally, usually you'd hear like, well, why did they make him look like that? That's stereotypical. No, instead they're like, well, why is she so thin? You know what? she's not thin. They're like, well, she's so thin. No, she's healthy at best. She's actually, she looks like a little bit more like a normal human.
Yeah.
She's not a toothpick. They did give her some weight, but how much, she's a princess. They are an ideal and furthermore a cartoon. And I love when they're like, well, it sets little goals. I keep talking, when I ask, every now and again I ask a girl when they're talking about this, I say, did you, when watching these things, think that I'm going to grow up and look exactly like that? A two-dimensional hand-drawn character? And they go, no. But, other websites continue to show, yes, look at how it pressures, kind of like the Barbie scenario. Barbie pressures our girls for Barbie's neck is so thin it would snap. People talk about Monster High, which is literally no human could be shaped like that physically, and they this is encouraging our girls to try to look like this. No one could physically look like that. They're all monsters in Monster High. They're monsters. Their legs are 4 times the size of their torso, and their head is 3 times the size of their torso. They are toothpicks with a giant head. You can't physically look like that. And if anyone physically thinks they can look like that, then therapy.
Well,
so Reddit's new news site Upvoted?
Huh?
Reddit has a new news site called Upvoted.
Oh, they do?
And no comments are allowed on it.
So it's a new subreddit? Or is it a new website?
I think it's a subreddit. I think it's a subreddit called Upvoted. It's their news site.
And they don't have upvotes on it, or downvotes?
Yeah, they have no comments or allowed.
Okay, that's interesting.
So, yes, we covered that. An American Airlines pilot dropped dead in the middle of a flight.
Oh gosh, what?
Yeah, so it was a flight from, I don't know, it ended up landing in Syracuse because they're like, yeah, we have an issue here. The pilot just kind of dropped dead. But the co-pilot safely landed it. And then, within the same week, the co-pilot had a seizure, and the pilot had to land it. And as they repeat, this is the reason why we have 2 people in the cockpit at all times, because in case someone, drops dead.
Oh.
They're like, but this isn't that bad. We've only had 8 drop dead in the last 20 years. I'm like, that's 8 too many. It was weird. It was weird. It was a very strange story.
Drop dead during the flight.
Julie Leach wins $310.5 million in the Powerball jackpot.
Oh my gosh. I wish I was that person.
So does my grandfather. Although my grandfather always wishes that if he wins it, it would split. Like, he wouldn't be the only winner. Because for some reason, we're like, what are you going to do with $310 million? I'm like, run for mayor. Run for mayor. I would, trust me. But yeah, that was... Go, Julie. The UK wants to leave the European Union. The UK, absolutely. They're like, oh no, we don't want to leave. The banks have been slowly preparing to leave the European Union. They don't want to have to deal with Euro. There's a lot of talk in Parliament. They want to leave the European Union. And if England leaves the European Union, that pretty much just leaves France and Germany as the top players. And that's just going to kill the European Union because, I mean... The second England leaves, the European Union is going to collapse, and there goes the economy. And I'm going to say this because Jake is nowhere to be found. The Sabres lost.
Aww.
They lost. They got 1 score, but they lost 3-1 against Ottawa.
Well, good
they
job,
lost.
Ottawa.
Way to go. Go Ottawa for... I can't even cheer Ottawa. I mean, they lost. I'm sure the show after us, which is starting late, if I remember correctly. They're starting late, so we still got...
We're until 1 then.
We're until 1, actually. We can actually do this good because we still have things to talk about.
Yes.
They'll definitely be probably talking about the Sabres, unless they only talk about the Bills and how I'm going to punch a hole in the wall, because there seems to be this debate between the youngins and the oldins, because the oldins are like, well, the Bills are so undisciplined and they deserve all their penalties, and we're like, yeah, they deserve all their penalties, but when a New York Giants player punches you in the face, why did you get a flag for unsportsmanlike conduct? This literally happened. So, Beckham Jr. of the Giants punched one of our guys in the face. So then it started a fight. So the 2 refs were holding back Beckham, and then threw a flag on our guy because he started swearing at him and called it unsportsmanlike conduct, and we got like a 10-yard penalty. And then, little do you know, that Beckham was now fined like a bajillion dollars for punching him in the face. But we didn't throw a flag out, no, because they hate the Bills. They hate us. They'll throw flags on us. We get chop block. Whoever calls out chop block. I haven't heard chop block called ever in the history, and they were calling these out. And then we're having late hits on our quarterback, and they're like, oh, I didn't see it. I didn't see it, guys. No one threw a flag. It was ridiculous. It is so biased. Bills, you need to win. And also, you need to stop getting penalties. Although Rex Ryan came up with an interesting thing. Every time someone gets a penalty, everyone on the team, including Rex Ryan, has to do 10 push-ups.
10 push-ups.
10 push-ups. To show you how much it affects everyone. Your penalty affects everyone. It has to be as 10 push-ups. The Rex Ryan diet, ladies and gentlemen. Push-ups and rage.
Push-ups and rage.
One of our assistant coaches had to hold Rex back because he was walking out onto the field. They had to push him back, like, no, Rex, don't do it. Don't do it, Rex. He was going to kill a ref. We have 2 more stories to talk about.
Oh my gosh, 2 more. What are they?
We're going to start with this one or I could save this one for last. I'm going to save this one for last because it's so beautiful.
Okay.
First, Senator Harry Reid is suing the maker of an elastic resistance band because it had no handles. And it was like, you ever see those stretch bands that people use when exercising? It's basically a piece of elastic, basically. So he had it attached to a sturdy object in his bathroom, but it didn't have handles, so it was slippery, and it snapped, and he spun around, and he smashed his head into a cabinet, and now, he partially blind in the right eye, broken bones near his eye, fractured ribs, a concussion, cuts, and bruises. So he's now suing them. And he's also not running for a 6th-term election in Congress. He's a Democrat, just so you know. So he decided, after all this happened, 1, he's done with politics, and 2, he's suing them because the product is hazardous. I've used elastic stretch bands are kind of a very hazardous thing to be using because it is literally a piece of thin rubber that may or may not snap at any given moment and kill you. But it's labeled in the warning, misuse of this product will destroy your face. And the fact is, he wasn't injured by the band.
That's oddly
specific. The band snapped, and then he spun around and smashed his head into a counter. Why isn't he suing the counter company for making a counter that was so pointy and damaged his face?
All right.
Yes, because, we can't do something like get something passed in Congress. Lawsuits, yes. And now for our final story.
Our final story. What is this?
In Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia, there's been 1 week without a single new case of Ebola.
Oh, wow.
That is right. I had to find... It came up on my newsfeed, and I said, that's it. We're bringing the Ebola stories back.
We did it.
Ebola 124. But we did it, and no new case for 1 whole week.
Wow, Ebola.
One whole week.
Ebola free, 152.
Yes.
We did it.
We did it.
Well, I mean, we didn't do it, but
we didn't.
Somebody else did it.
Yay! Yay! That deserves cheers.
Hooray!
As always, guys, if you want to, we didn't get any tweets.
We got 2 from Sam.
We did?
Yeah.
You didn't mention either of them. Nico, calm down, please, and feel the burn.
Yeah, I said.
To which I reply, I will never calm down. I am an angry politician. And 2, I felt the burn when I burnt off my thumb on my lawnmower. It's kind of healed, but it's scarred. I will forever remember it.
We got like 6 minutes left. Nico.
We got 6 minutes, so now we can just talk about our. Yeah.
Do you know what started yesterday, Nico?
What started yesterday?
The open beta for Star Wars Battlefront, the new one.
What?
And I played it for a few hours, and it's pretty awesome.
Is it gorgeous?
It is.
It's gorgeous.
It's really gorgeous.
Is it fantastic?
Yeah. So
10 out of 10.
The 2 things they had in the beta, one is like a 20 versus 20 assault on Hoth with the walkers and everything, and then you can play as like Luke or Darth Vader as the heroes. It's pretty awesome. I don't know if anybody listening cares about that, but
ended like
that
ended with a hang it, like just hanging
If anybody
sentence.
was interested in
The
new
first one
Battlefront
was the
game.
20 versus 20 in Hoth, and you could play as...
What?
That was, like, you said the first one, and then I thought you were going to continue, and you just stopped.
Oh, no, I mean, there's like 2 game modes. The other one's
What's-
some 8v8 game mode that isn't representative of any important moment in the movie, but, you know, I thought you'd care more about the Hoth thing than something else.
Yes. Yes. Sure.
It's great. Star Wars.
Star
Can't deny
Wars
my love.
is one can't deny my love.
Yeah, I noticed earlier when you were closing iTunes on the computer, for some reason Bohemian Rhapsody was playing, and we didn't do that, so I don't...
Yeah, it was like it's probably been playing the entire time and no one did anything about it. Like it was, I don't know. As always, you've been listening to WNIA Mix and More Radio. Probably should have thrown that in there at 12:30.
Yeah.
But I like how we have to point out that you're listening to WNIA. Like, if you manage to find the website, you know what you're listening to, okay?
Thank you to all 17 people who listened to us
Yes.
at some point,
Yes,
even if you're not listening anymore.
And to the 6 listeners we currently have.
The 7 listeners we currently have. Thank you.
That is scary because it did not say 7 a second ago.
They're probably here for the sports show that starts in 4 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Theoretically.
Theoretically.
I think they tweeted out they're starting later.
They're starting later?
Yeah.
Well, if you're here for the sports show, they're not starting
They're
at 1.
starting later, but if you're here to talk about sports, go Bills, go Sabres, win the Stanley football trophy, cup, bowl. Yeah!
The Stanley Trophy Cup Bowl.
The Stanley Football Trophy Cup Bowl.
Awesome.
That is my favorite sport.
Yes, absolutely.
How much do we know about sports? I just love me that their basketball game.
The new awesome.
I like when someone mentions a team and I'm like, oh, I love that foot hockey ball game player.
Foot hockey ball.
Like, I know sports. The only thing I know is that I think that instead of watching a Bills game, we just need to watch Rex Ryan's reaction during a Bills game, because his faces are priceless. His reactions. Like, even the announcer's like, let's see how Rex is reacting to this now. Oh, he's giving us the grumpy cat face. Oh, what is he giving us now? Oh, the rage! Oh no, the rage against the machine, ladies and gentlemen.
Rage against the machine. Yes.
My outdated references know no bounds. You cannot deny my outdated reference.
I won't do what you tell me.
You can't deny my outdated reference. Tune in next week, where we talk about more things, and hopefully I'm not screaming about the city of Niagara Falls, but knowing me, I probably will be.
And hopefully you're here less than, or more than 1 minute before the show
Well, considering there will not be a debate next week,
I know.
Yeah, I totally will be. We always start late. When do we ever start on time?
I mean,
like Chelsea
we kind of did today.
Chelsea talked you into starting on time,
Yeah.
and I blitzed it, and all of a sudden I see you in here, I'm like, oh, is he starting? Is he trying to do this?
I was gonna.
I was so ill-prepared. So prepared. So as always, folks, if you like us, and even if you don't,
please. If you don't like us...
If you don't like us, go to our Facebook page anyway and just yell at us. Just tweet us. I mean, honestly, tweet 800 tweets toward us about how much you hate us. Because guess what? Any publicity is good publicity. Oh, what?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, like our Facebook page, Niagara1/24. Go to our Twitter, at Niagara124. There's no slash in there because Twitter doesn't like slashes.
Go to our YouTube channel. It's called something.
Niagara1/24.
Yes, everything.
If you literally just type in Niagara1/24 on the interweb, it should just pop up to us.
Because we're the only thing named.
Yep, Niagara124 YouTube pops up, and then Niagara124 and WNIA Radio Facebook. The only thing that doesn't pop up is our Twitter, because it's Niagara124.
Yes.
But otherwise, all in all, pip pip cheerio, governor.
Wubba lubba dub dub.
YOLO swaggy swag. And tune in next week to get more of your news and screaming. You know you love us.
I love you too.
You can't deny us. You can't deny us.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody.